What you see on your video screen right now is a pair of camera Baluns. The purpose of these devices is to transmit surveillance CCTV video across a Cat5, Cat5e, or UTP, unshielded twisted pair cable. These Baluns are only designed to transmit the video signal. They're not designed to transmit the power. And these are passive Baluns, which means they don't require power. So you're looking at a fairly typical dome camera, and it has a B&C connector on the end. It has a power connector, but we're not demonstrating the connection of that power with this particular Balun video. You'll notice here the B&C connector of the CCTV camera is connected to the B&C connector of the Balun, and then we're going to connect a Cat5e wire, or unshielded twisted pair, UTP, to right here. This is just 2 screw terminals. Now you'll notice the small Phillips head screws right there for the purpose of securing one pair of Cat5 stranded wires into those 2 terminals right there. Now what you're looking at right now is a Cat5 wire which goes through the attic to one of the cameras being installed. And we already stripped back the white jacket. We did that using the integrated built-in silky pull cord, and we separated the 4 pair of conductors that are inside of that white jacket of the Cat5. Now the orange pair we're going to use for the 12-volt DC power, which is tied down to the terminal strips on this particular power supply. And you do need to observe polarity. The positive on the power supply side of the wire needs to match the positive on the camera side of the wire. We'll show you that later in the video. And then I'm going to use the blue-white pair to transmit the video signal on that Balun. I got to strip that back. Now I went ahead and stripped back the blue-white pair. I stripped it back about 1/4 inch. Now with the terminal screws of the Balun facing up, you'll notice I put the solid blue wire in the left terminal and the blue-white wire in the right terminal. And then with my tiny Phillips head screwdriver I secured those terminals pretty well. Now you can buy this device without this little cord lead on it, but I prefer this because it makes it easier to access and service the back of the camera DVR, which in this particular case is right here. Now all I did was I took the B&C connector that's attached to the Balun and connected it to a video input on the back of my camera DVR. Now theoretically you could use this and connect it straight to a television if you just want to be able to view the camera live, but in this situation we're recording the video. That's why it's going into the DVR. Now here's the other end of that white wire. This house was pre-wired. This is a single gang electrical back box that was put into the brickwork, into this particular course, when the brick was being installed. We're going to go ahead and strip this wire back and prep it for the camera. When you're stripping off the jacket on a Cat5, whether the jacket is white colored like this or blue colored like many commonly found Cat5s, you want to be real careful not to strip the internal conductor jackets. So I wanted to show you a correct way. And then here's that little pull cord, that rip cord, if you wanted to pull it back farther, which you don't. I have enough here for future service, and it can fit comfortably into that box. Okay, so now what I did was I took the unused green and brown pair and wrapped it back around the white jacket of the Cat5. That can be used for the future for whatever reason, but I'm going to use, again, like I showed you earlier, the orange pair is going to be for power and the blue pair is going to be for video. The blue pair, I don't know if you can actually see that in your screen, but I stripped it back about 1/4 inch, but I kept the twists in place, unlike the orange pair where I stripped it back roughly 1/2 inch and opened up the twists a little bit more. The twists are designed to reduce electrical interference or outside interference. That's why I kept the twists in place on the video signal, because I don't want to risk any interference on the camera video picture. The power, however, I'm going to retwist that once I make my connection. Now you're looking at the camera mounting base swinging in your picture. What I've done is I've taken a stainless screw and I screwed it into the electrical box to let it hang there. And in the brick mortar, I'm going to take a special, what's called a Tapcon, T-A-P-C-O-N. You can purchase it anywhere at a local hardware store. It's designed for concrete and mortar. And figure out where I'm going to fasten these screws to the mortar so that it sits snug and covers that whole electrical box. Now keep in mind, although this particular camera is weather resistant, it's not waterproof. And in this application, it's in a well covered, hopefully you can see that because I'm standing on a ladder, it's under a totally covered installation. So this is a very good application for this particular installation method I'm showing you. Now I don't know if you can actually see the detail on the tip of this drill bit I'm showing you on your screen, but this drill bit is specifically manufactured to drill into mortar and brick and masonry. And the size, the diameter of this bit is specific to drill the correct hole based on the size of Tapcon you use. Tapcons come in a variety of different diameters, so if you're going to use this method, look at the package of the Tapcon. Sometimes they furnish the correct drill bit and other times they'll just tell you the correct size. You need to use the right size drill bit, and in some cases you'll need to use a hammer drill. I'm not using a hammer drill because it's such a small hole. Okay, well, a lot of times when I see or do videos on YouTube, everything goes perfect. And here's an example where it did not go perfect, and also an example of the solution. When I drilled the mortar, what I found was it was really easy to drill. That tends to tell me the mortar was not mixed properly. Because it was easy to drill, the hole was too big for the particular Tapcon that I wanted to use, and the hole in the bottom mounting plate of the camera, I can't make it any bigger. Well, I can, but then I start to degrade the integrity of the mount. I already drilled these out to fit the smallest Tapcon I could find, so I'm not going to drill them anymore. What I did was I made that hole a little bit bigger, and I took a pretty standard anchor and shoved it in there, tapped it in with a hammer. It's in there firm, and I'm just going to use a long stainless screw to fasten this down. Again, this particular installation is in a covered, protected area, and this is going to work completely fine. I have one more hole that I'm doing right here, and then I can go ahead and permanently fasten the camera mounting plate to the brick wall. Nice and snug. Now I'm just going to use the cordless drill to get the screws close to fully fastened. Then I'm going to tighten them down by hand because I just want to make it snug. I don't want to crank down on it hard. Now you're looking at the camera mounting plate as it fastens to the brick. It's nice and sturdy, and we're going to take a thick bead of outdoor clear silicone caulk and run it across the top here, leaving the bottom open so that air can flow and dry out any collected moisture. Another benefit of keeping this Cat5 wire so long is if you ever need to service these connectors because they oxidize from touching with oxygen, you can strip them back a little further, get a good clean connection if you run into that particular problem. Now here's the Balun, the passive Balun. I don't know if you can see, but the screw terminals are facing the video camera, your video screen, and then just rotate it. You'll see the solid blue is in the left terminal and the blue-white is in the right terminal. Next thing I'm going to do is connect this little power connector to the orange pair on the category 5 wire. Now these little power connectors, you can purchase them, and if you look closely, I don't know if you can pick it up on the screen, but one of the two conductors has a white dashed line. Now I'm going to connect that to the orange-white wire. Now I made my twisted connections really well, and now I'm going to trim off the excess length. After trimming off the excess length, I have about a third of an inch, and then I'll use small electrical wire nuts to make the final connection. And that's the electrical nut on the wire, and I'm ready to finish up putting the camera in place. So I connected both my power, which is at the top of your screen, and my video B and C, which is the wire connection toward the bottom of your screen. And I just need to go ahead and put everything inside that electrical box and spin this camera onto its base, and we're done with this portion of the install. Now just to give you an idea, those connections for the camera take up the full, I think it's 22 cubic inches of electrical backbox space. But it's easily accessible for future service, and this particular camera has various adjustments through that adjustment knob at the center of your screen. Now, a troubleshooting tip. When you plug your camera power supply in and you turn the power switch to the camera power supply in, which is located toward the right of your screen, the center, if you don't get a video picture, it's possible the polarity is wrong on your power connections. So what I did was I unplugged the power supply, I turned it off, unplugged it, and I reversed the polarity. What that means is now I have the solid orange on the bottom terminal, which is the bottom terminal of your screen, and I have the orange-white conductor at the top terminal. So that's how I swapped the polarity. And this time I got a picture, and I'm not going to show you the picture because it really doesn't matter, but the quality of the picture, it's 700 lines of resolution, it's very clear, there's no electrical interference, it's just a rock solid picture.